Hey, today I'm going to tear apart my perfectly fine Nikon D5300 with a very high potential of breaking it in order to modify it to get a little bit better astrophotography. We're going to do a hydrogen alpha astro modification on this thing. So you saw me taking out the battery and the SD card. You're really going to want a decent electronics toolkit, or you're going to wish you had. The first time I did this, spoiler, I've now done this about 4 or 5 times because I made many mistakes that I had to fix along the way. First time I tried to get away with a really shitty little teeny screwdriver that I found in a drawer at my house. I then purchased this one and was a lot happier for it. So don't start. Just don't. Don't do it. You're going to try, but don't without having the right tools. I'm following some basic instructions I found online. Was it like Life Pixel or something? Modification service offers tutorials, but they really left out a lot and made you do a lot of tinkering to figure things out. So I couldn't get even my little screw bits in this teeny hole, so I had to grind that bit down in order to fit in there. In fact, I should have ground it down a little further because it still doesn't quite fit. So you're going to need a long, reachy, skinny, teeny Phillips to get in there, or you're not going to be able to get it open. Watch me struggle. That thing was a bitch to take out the first time, and I kind of ruined it. I have no advice for you on how to take that little sticker off. Do yourself a solid and get a strong magnet for things like that in this project. Gotta clean my nails. So that screw is a bit longer than the other ones, so put that guy in a special place. It's going a lot easier than the first few times I tried it. These sticker things are really in there good. I'm just gonna have to feel like you're breaking your camera to try to get them off. This feels really wrong, this part. These screws were in there real strong. A little lighter now that they've been screwed in and back out many times. The online tutorial says you've got to take all those screws off by that tripod mount, but I found you really only have to take the back two. Doesn't make much difference, but fewer screws to lose. You really aren't quite sure if you got all the screws, but it just doesn't really want to come off very good. So it's some gentle prying. Open up all these doors. And eventually it'll pop free, but don't go gung-ho because there's still all kinds of cables. Ugh, that was a bad sound. Just be patient and keep fussing with it, and you'll find what's catching. First time I did this, my heart really sunk looking in there. It's really depressing. Those little cables are weird. There's so many different types of cables and ribbons and connectors that you've got to screw with. These ones on the ends have little pins that you just have to pull out. Those cables, they're just like barely connected. The others are fairly straightforward. Although there's at least 2, 3, 4 different kind of ribbon connections in here for some reason. You're going to want to like steal your wife's eyebrow plucker and whatever pointy things, possibly your fingers, toothpicks, whatever you have, to get all these damn ribbons out. That one has no snap, so you just gently pull it out. Gently pull. Oh. Try something else. Try that eyebrow plucker. Got it. The rest of them have little latches, for lack of a better word, that you've got to pull up. Helpfully, some are in front, some are in back. Some are black, some are white. It's very difficult to tell. That first one on the top right there, initially had like a sticker on it, and I couldn't figure out how to get the ribbon out without messing that up, so I just took it off, and everything seems to be fine without it. You got to take all these ribbons off. This is stressful just watching this. Make sure you have the house to yourself when you're doing this. Send all the kids out. Clear a couple hours. I'd suggest having not more than 1 or 2 beers before trying. But that should be enough to take the edge off the anxiety, but not cloud the fine motor skills. Yeah, lots of sighing. So now we can take this board off. 2 of the screws, like that one, it also connects an electrical connection. So be careful with that. Real easy to lose that screw. So now the board can come off. If you get all the ribbons out of the way, it goes into all those USB and such connectors there on the left, so you'll need to slide it out to the right. Get all that crap out of the way. And there's still some teeny little connectors left over that I didn't even want to screw with, so I didn't undo them, and it worked out fine. So now you're finally looking at the back of the sensor module, that yellow bit. I can't remember if it was on that top module or the sensor module that had all kinds of black tape holding it down too. That really freaked me out. Wasn't sure if I could cut that off with impunity. There was no way around it, so I just cut it off. And it seems to be fine. Maybe that has to do with ease of manufacturing or something. So those 3 screws hold down the sensor module. Probably should have taken this ribbon off first, but it doesn't matter much. I forgot to put that sensor down the first time I did that, or that ribbon down. Camera turned on, but the would not take any pictures. So the tutorial I'm looking at doesn't tell you how to actually free this thing. There's 3 main screws for that sensor board, but you also have to take out the screw holding on that white wire on the right. Come on, man. Upper right. Got it. And then try to do this without launching that teeny screw across the room. It's connected to that white wire we just unscrewed up above. It's right in here that you really start to second guess if this was a good idea or not. And if you're ever going to be able to get this sucker back together. There's the shutter. Put that off to the side, and I laid some plastic over the top to try to keep some dust out. I've also been grounding myself periodically. You're going to want to steal it. Oh yeah, put your fingers all over the sensor while you're at it. Get it real nice and greasy. You're going to want to steal your wife's baking silicone sheet. Worked really nice to work off of. There's a bracket that holds on the infrared filter, the stock infrared filter. So that's got to come off. That's what I'm doing now. Now I had already removed my infrared filter on my first try, and the reason I'm taking it apart is because it wouldn't focus to infinity, and I wanted to install a new UV IR cut filter. So that's what I'm doing on this round. So when you take apart your stock camera, it's going to have this filter in it that I'm wrestling with right now. It's going to have this guy in it. And it's going to be soldered in for the dust removal system. So you're going to need to desolder that. If you don't have a soldering iron, could maybe just clip that ribbon. I don't know. That'd probably be fine. Throw that away. Or save it forever and never use it. That's like I'm going to do. I suppose you could try to take that piezo dust cleaner thing off of that filter and try to put it on whatever filter you put on there. I don't know how to do that. So now start out real gentle to try to get that grime you just put on there off. But it won't work. So just start scrubbing. Got some rubbing alcohol, see if that does the trick. It's my understanding that rubbing alcohol doesn't hurt electronics, so it's not a big deal if you get some in there. So you're not actually scrubbing the sensor. There is a piece of glass still over top of the sensor. This is your one time to clean it, because you're going to sandwich another piece of glass on top and you'll never get to it again. You get a really linty old Q-tip from your bathroom. Give it a good scrub with alcohol. Yeah, dry it off real careful to get all that lint off. Then realize it just isn't going to work. Then eventually realize you can take off that rubber gasket. Yeah, there you go. And that makes cleaning a lot easier, because the piece of glass is a lot bigger than the actual sensor. And struggle with this until you think you got it perfect. It's looking better. Of course it won't be. So stick that gasket back on. Or maybe don't be dumb and get that thing grimy in the first place. If you carefully take the IR filter off, it should be pristine under there, and if you don't touch it, you shouldn't have to clean it. I bought a pretty inexpensive telescope filter, UV IR cut filter, Solomark from Amazon that had good reviews. And then I cut a rectangle out of it. With the diamond, little diamond cutoff disc with a Dremel tool. And it worked pretty good. Doesn't have to be super perfect, just about the right size. Make sure you got that nice and grimy too, so that you can struggle with getting that clean. This is a pretty much impossible task. Also impossible to keep it on camera. Apparently. still grimy. Need some lotion on those hands. You guys might have a better way to clean this than I do. Eventually got there, but it was very tedious. I really couldn't do it until I eventually came back with a rubber glove. Would have worn two, but I only had one left. That helped quite a bit.
Fuck. Make sure your kids aren't around because you'll need to do a lot of swearing during this portion because you're going to have it pretty good and then make it a whole lot worse again. And then you'll want to start over. Be sure to stick your thumb in it again to get it nice and greasy. Get all that lens in there. Give it a good scrub.
more scrubbing.
Just regret everything in your life at this point. Really gotta know when to quit, probably. Stick that joker on there. Smush this thing on.
So any filter that you put on goes above that rubber gasket and below the bracket that holds it all together. I never felt like a really great fit putting my filter in there, even though it was about the same size and same thickness. It didn't like click into place, but once you put the bracket over top, it was good. See, it looks kind of wonky, but as long as it covers the sensor and is on there tight, I guess it'll be fine.
Recommend drinking a beer before this. Probably not more than 1 or 2. Okay, then just reverse. You're gonna get real hot, bothered, frustrated. You're gonna hurt the people you love. Now, these springs are real important not to lose. Get all the ribbons on the right side. There's these alignment pins right here and right here. Get that guy up there. Sure it's bouncing freely. Whew. Switch back to your Torx. This is where you would count turns, I guess. First, just going to get them all on there. At that point, it'd be a lot easier to count turns. One guy on a forum said, get it as close, as tight, as close to the lens as possible. So you can focus to infinity. Okay, they're all on there now. So I'm going to back up until it starts clicking. And then go put this guy in there. Oh. One, two, three, four. How's that feel? Oh, it didn't go in. Great. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. I'm gonna give it one more just to play it safe. Five. 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 Do a lot of sign. Don't forget about this little bastard. Maybe best to just oh my God. Teeny little tabs.
It looks like this thing's never going to go back on, but take your time, put the wires and ribbons on the right side, make sure there's nothing smushed underneath. A couple of my fails are because I left a ribbon end underneath the board. And you can't fish it out once you've got it screwed on, so you got to take all the ribbons off again and get it out. Give a good look for anything that's looking right and nothing smushed under there. The keen observer will notice that I do in fact have a wire on the left side smushed under there that shouldn't be. There it goes. Make sure you get the blue and white wires screwed back on. I'm stripping a little bit, so I was trying to get a good look, just make sure the board was on straight. These are really tricky. They're not really meant to be put on and off and on and off and on and off like I did. And if you put your camera all back together and it doesn't work right, or some buttons don't work, or features don't work, it's because one of your ribbons wasn't in properly. You can sort of make them stay in there if you hold it and then quick throw the latch on, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's in. You'll kind of feel a satisfying insertion when it's in there properly. Until you've got that, don't put the little latch down. Really could have used some reading glasses or something. You'll need to do a lot of swear muttering under your breath at this point. I gotta skip ahead because I hate watching this.
This one had some sticky tape on it. Just take it right off. Don't feel great about those. Get this thing in there. You're gonna screw up the spring. It's just not gonna be the same ever again. Let's see if you can fuss with this enough to get it to just kind of click to its home without smushing any cables. I'm nervous about that white thing. This bastard.
You're not going to get a lot more narration, just me mumbling to myself. Mute it if you don't like it.
All right, kind of fell into place.
You'll see soon, and now would be a somewhat safe time to see if things work before you put all the screws back on. And I do that in a bit. I think I put those on and then slide a battery in an SD card and see if everything works. Moment of truth, and very surprised I didn't brick it. But these little guys are more robust than you think. As long as you don't like use anything sharp to screw with the ribbons, you make sure you're not smushing any delicate parts when you put it back together. If you think you bricked it, you probably didn't. Just take it apart and see what you screwed up and try again. At this point, I'm seeing if it will focus. You should be able to focus no matter what with live focus. See if you can focus close, but especially at infinity with various lenses, because it might focus to infinity with some lenses but not others. So if you use a lens for astrophotography, stick that one in and see if you can shoot at something super far away and see if it'll focus. Focusing with the viewfinder might not be accurate. And if you want, you can take it apart and fuss with those 3 screws to try to fix that hold the sensor on, or just live with it.
weird right there. Regular screw. Oh, this one is a little stripped.
Well, folks, there you have it. I tested it out, and it seems like it does everything it should. Focuses to infinity. Images look good. I haven't tried it out on the stars yet, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. Yes, if you were wondering why they charge $300 to do this, this is why. It sucks. Very nerve-wracking. Takes a lot of time. This one took me about an hour, but I had done it probably at least three times at this point. All the best. Put it back together. Pour yourself some neat whiskey. And consider yourself saving $300. Hope it was helpful. Tell me in the comments where I screwed up. And if you have any questions. Good luck. Oh, all that pink stuff is when the first time I put it together, I forgot that sensor ribbon. So that's what it'll look like if it's all pink. Okay, bye.